Good morning. This is Watchmen on the Wall Paragould. I started to say hillbilly Hebrew. I don't know why.
That's next.
But we're glad to have you here again this morning with our guest, Sheriff Steve Franks. And the reason that we're here is runoff is going to start on June the 14th. Early voting out at the Greene County Fair Grounds. I guess at Marmaduke at the community center. Is that where they do the early voting at?
The early voting will just be at the fair.
Just at the fairground, okay.
Yeah.
And then all the polls will be open on the 21st. So it's very important that you vote. We have said for, since our existence that we started this thing, the two most important offices in our county are our sheriff and prosecuting attorney.
And both of them got runoffs.
And both of them have runoffs. One will be held in June, the other will be held during the general election, and we just got informed and was straightened out on that. So you'll have that. So we got several months to come up to the general election in November that we'll be talking to our candidates there. But today we have Steve Franks with us, and as we start this, now we usually ask, and we have it, you to say a little bit about your family, about your faith, and Steve also, in his election the first time, ran on the Democrat Party, but he came into our Republican Party saying he didn't believe in the platform, and I appreciate that, and we've seen him at our meetings, and we're glad to have him as part of our committee here. So how about tell us about your family just a little bit, where you're from, and then we'll get back into this important stuff and talking about your candidacy for sheriff.
Well, I'm married to Julie Franks. She's from Light. She was a Linderman, and we've been married for 31 years. It'll be 32 years in December.
He asked that like it was a question.
Well, you don't want to get it wrong.
He's a typical man, and you gotta like him because he's just like us. He can't talk without using his hands. So
but yeah, we'll be married 32 years in December. We have two kids. Felicia Morissette, she's a school teacher at Marmaduke, and I have a son that is in the Air Force. He's stationed right now in Turkey, fixing to get reassigned to Japan. He's been going on 6 years now.
What about your salvation experience? We'd like to hear about that.
I tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. Back, when I was a kid, when I was real little, my grandmother, we went. It was church all the time. And then when she passed away, I kind of got away from it as a teenager, to be honest with you. But got back into it. There were some things that happened in my life that really personal. Lost families and stuff. Not not just heart attacks. It was touching. There was things that I've seen in law enforcement side of it also. The man died for you, on the cross. And I've seen some things that in my own life that there was a man that was truly dear to me that passed away, and he loved the Lord. And when you sit there and see this man pass away, and when he passes away, there's a smile on his face that tells you something.
Amen. People in law enforcement and ministers especially are probably around death more than anybody else. And I've seen people who fought. I've seen, in my mother's, in her presence, she just took a fainting breath and went from here to eternity and had peace. It was a peace. And I found out, and you have a right to disagree with me, but sometimes our family members hold on because we hold on to them. and she was ready to go. And when I let go of her, you know, I said, Lord, I love her, but I don't want to see her suffer anymore. And when I did that, and that night she passed on, it was so peaceful. It was so peaceful, having that faith and knowledge. And that's why we're to be that witness, because somebody's going to see that in our lives. And I thank God for you men and women, brothers, sisters, all you out there who live for Jesus, because you are a witness.
Yeah, I still get emotional over that, you know.
Never lose it.
On my part of it, it was an accident that took this man, you know, and but what you just said, the peace, it was there, and it'll be with me for the rest of my life.
You know, a lot of people attribute men's crying and tears to weakness. To me, it's a strength. Even Jesus Christ, our Savior, wept, the Bible says. Now, he wept for the unbelief of people, and that's what we need to do too. But when you love someone and you cherish that person, how can you help but not cry? It's just, you know, and tears, there's a song I like to sing called Tears Are a Language Only God Understands. And sometimes my prayers are nothing but tears. And I've always been told, in fact, I got tickled. You wouldn't believe it now, but my first sermon I preached was 5 minutes long. And the first sermon I preached, I maybe said 20 words. I cried through the rest of it. And basically, I said, I want to see you saved. Yeah. And that was my message. And my pastor came up to me and said, Brother David, he says, if you'll never lose that feeling, he says, people will respond to you because you're coming from your heart. And I appreciate that you showing that emotion to us, because a lot of men in your place wouldn't do it.
Well, I can promise you that, and I'm sure this man can too, you know, as law enforcement, like he said, pastors and stuff, you see a lot of things that made you, honestly. You see a lot of bad things, but you see a lot of good things too. And, you know, seeing that in people, I don't know how to say it, but seeing that in people makes you feel good, you know, in your heart. And, you know, us as law enforcement and y'all, when we go to places and see the bad things, and then you got the family there, you want to help that family. I mean, you know they just lost somebody, but you know, as y'all as pastors, you go talk to that family and bring them back up. You know what I'm saying? And
we just had the shooting in Texas, and we had another one in New Orleans. There's a college graduation. And in fact, you don't know how close it'll be. My nephew was shot in Hot Springs this past Saturday, and he was moving, and the next door neighbor came out, put a gun to his head, and the next door neighbor knew him and saw him do it and shouted at him, and he turned and he started running and shot him in the calf of his leg. And then they started running, and anyhow he shot 5 times at him and only hit him that one time, and it went through the vein. They had to sew that back together. He didn't find it home. But what do you say to these people? I mean, that man has a family. I mean, they're going through grief too, you know. So our point is to help one another. And it's not the guns, it's the mental and spiritual understanding that someone has. And we've got to fight that. Taking away guns does not take away our, what it does is it takes away our protection and our safety. And from what I understand, you are for the right to bear arms, which is one of the issues that we
big time, right?
You shook that head pretty fast there. And the right for us to protect ourselves. And right now there's an attack across our nation on this. So being sheriff, one of the biggest questions that we've had in talking about this, as pastors, we believe that we have a right to assemble. We have a right to preach, the freedom to preach and teach God's word. We believe others have that freedom too, that teach even against it. That's their right. Okay. The problem is when you start bringing guns and fights, and it goes beyond words and becomes hate. We're to love one another even if we're disagreeable. So, from my understanding, you're going to stand up and fight for our constitutional values and rights as Christians, as ministers, and as individuals, whether you believe in God or not. You're going to stand for that person, for his rights, and the constitutional rights that we have in Arkansas. And I just want to say I appreciate your stand and talking about that. So as we go into this second half and we're talking and everything, we want you to finish some of the things that you was talking about that we didn't get through with. And if you want to talk about any of those areas where you're going to keep the Constitution or whatever, you feel free to do that also. So you're running for re-election. What is it that you want to see happen in this next term yourself?
I want to continue the progress that I've already started. Not just me, but my group of people. Okay. You know, when you're talking about the First, Second Amendment, I'm very strong on that. Very strong. You know, and you're right. We're being attacked. Everybody's being attacked with that. You know, I will tell you straight up that when it comes to the gun laws, or you know, the right to stand up in front of people and voice your opinion, you got to do it lawfully. I mean, there is a law. You know, it's got to be. You know what I'm talking about. Peaceful. Yeah. Right. But you know, I'm not going to sit here and the government's going to tell me what I'm going to do with the guns or take guns from people. It's not going to happen. I can promise you that. I can probably tell you that I'm going to be the first one in front of the line, and I'm going to have no telling how many people behind me going to protect
I'm there.
I promise you, it'll be there. But you know, with the you know, like with the jail and everything that we've done, I know that with the federal inmates that we have, you know, there had been talk that I released the inmates here in Paragould. Never happens. Has never happened. Once that they get done with their court, or we have to transport them somewhere, we have to take them back to Little Rock. Nobody is ever released here. Now, your local prisoners, don't get me wrong.
Right.
You know, if somebody gets picked up for public intoxication or something like that, and the next day they're released.
Yeah, they won't let you ship them out.
So that brings
They
up,
call that banning. You can't do that, right?
well, that brings up another question too, because there's rumors that people say, and I tell what I know, and then I get told I'm telling rumors too. They do that all the time. But there's some people said that you wouldn't take prisoners. Now you want to explain that?
Well, no, wait a minute. Let's. I mean, he's talking about, first of all, the money thing, and it's a big thing, and there is pressure on law enforcement officers to write tickets because people start seeing that as a way to generate revenue.
And that's
wrong.
Yes.
And it should never be put on that officer out there to generate revenue. His job is he writes a ticket to correct your driving so that you'll stop speeding or you'll quit doing reckless things or whatever. It's all about safety. You know, he makes an arrest for your welfare and other people's welfare. It shouldn't be about generating money. And by generating money the way you have, that I believe that's taking a big burden and shows a lot of good responsibility. But we were talking about taking prisoners in. Man, you got hit. You come into office, you just get things rolling. COVID hits. Tell us about that. That's going to be a challenge.
Well, to be honest with you, to answer your question, it also is that when COVID hit, it's the sheriff's responsibility to also protect the inmates that's inside the jail. Right. When COVID, and you're right, when I first got in 2019, COVID hit, and it was bad. And what I've done, you know, I was trying to keep COVID out of the jail, and we did get COVID inside the jail. And it wasn't that I was turning prisoners away, but you know, I had meetings with the Paragould PD, Marmaduke PD, and even outside of Greene County, because sometimes we had to house inmates from other counties. So, and it wasn't that I'm turning them away, it was that I was trying to get COVID out, and when you bring somebody else in that had COVID, well, here we go all over again. Mm-hmm. Well, when I met with Paragould, Marmaduke, and other counties, I asked them, I said, you know, if you pull somebody over and they have a warrant for a no seat belt or forgot to go to court, mm-hmm. don't bring the people to jail. Cite them in and give them in court. If someone got out here and hurt somebody, beat somebody up, a domestic, a crime, a violent crime, bring them on. We're going to take them. But I was just asking for the non-violent stuff that really you shouldn't be in jail for, like, you know, missing court or something, right, and just forget about it. Cite them in, give them in court date. That's where that comes from. I wasn't turning anybody away at all. And I know it was out there that I was, but that's not the truth.
And you contacted all these people to inform them of why you would review somebody. Not necessarily that you would, but you prefer these kind of people to be turned loose and go before the judge. So that's using good common sense. In fact, we know across the nation they let a lot of people go by because of the COVID, and that's an issue in our campaign for prosecuting attorney has been as well. So getting back to the jail and the future. Again, what are some of the things or thoughts that you have that maybe you haven't shared with us yet that you're thinking about doing in the future?
With the income that we're bringing in? Well, I can tell you, I'm going to go back to the work release program. I've already renovated the old jail, 40 beds in there. But what we're looking at right now, and we have engineers and contractors already coming in, we're going to build on to the back of the jail, and it was due to the work release, and what we're trying to do is build an office for the coordinator for one, and an office for the work release employees back there. But to bring the work release to the back and bring them in from the back, but also build, I guess you would call it a classroom, have computers in there, where if they don't have their GED, we've already talked to Black River. They're willing to bring teachers out to have class, and help them get their GED if they're incarcerated, if they don't have it. That's the program that we're trying to get started.
Well, amen. You know, in the old movies, they used to do everything, make license plates and
well, you know, we all remember, coming from over in Ender County, Calico Rock's got a jail over there, you know, and they have the chain gang. Matter of fact, I have a nephew, that's what his job is. He rides the horse, one of the horse riders that watch over the chain gang. And they'll go up there and, you know, I think John had mentioned during break, Calico Rock, you drive through there, you might catch them out there and they'll be just standing as close as me and you in a big line. And they walk across that park in that area, and when they get done, it looks perfect. I mean, there's not a piece of trash, everything has been raked and combed, and it looks beautiful. They're doing good community service. But we had a similar thing where we had, I remember the prisoners used to ride the back of the garbage trucks and load garbage. We had them working a different kind of, we call them chain gangs, right? They were working for the government, doing work, you know, helping take a burden off, but there's a liability there. Talk to them about that. So people, because a lot of people want to know where that went. Why aren't they working? You know.
Well, it is a liability because and I'm just going to use the city of Marmaduke or even Oak Grove or even Paragould. If the city wants an inmate to come to work for them, to work on the garbage truck or even to work in a maintenance building, if back then, if they signed them out, that city is responsible for them. If they get hurt, if that inmate gets hurt, they're responsible for all medical bills. and it has happened in the past. And, so, you know, it really wasn't the sheriff's department, it was the other cities, because.
But if the sheriff's department has them out working on the side of the road and somebody wrecks and runs over them, it's on the sheriff's
It's on the
department.
sheriff's department.
So the liability really is, I mean, it's like so many things nowadays between lawsuits and court proceedings, the liability has stopped a lot of programs that people like. We'd like to have them back, but you just can't.
Well,
do it.
you know, just look at the
You just gotta realize the liability on them.
there's hundreds of things that these guys could do.
Right.
And if they worked on it, in other words, that's just like this, let's say they're in there for 2 years and just say, you're willing to work, you get a day off of that. So for every day of work, a day of suspension off of that. That's giving them something. But we have to, again, and this has to go back to our legislators, so Jimmy Gassaway, I'm talking to you, Blake Johnson, I'm talking to you, and some others that I know, and our new one, Jeremy, hey Jeremy, we need to have legislation to help keeping our people from suing our communities. And then we could get a work, hey, just imagine, everybody's talking about the couches all over town and all the trash that's all
I've
over
seen
town.
a couple of mattresses
We
on
could,
the highway out
we
there.
could have people working to beautify and give them a chance to work and to help them better themselves. There's thousands of things. Why these things aren't being done? Well, it's because
Well, I mean,
we're not working on a project. And I would even like to say, we need to go back to a trade, some way of teaching them how to do something.
Let me tell you what, welding is in big demand.
Yes, it is. It is.
Wonder if we can get them to do that, right? Get some qualified for some school.
There's some people we don't give a torch to.
Since y'all said that,
Yeah.
since y'all said that, a trade, we have been talking to Black River about starting that.
There you go.
Well, these are
You give them something to have that they don't want to lose. That gives them incentive to do well, you know. And back to that work thing. I mean, I'm like everybody else. Everybody said, hey, they shouldn't just be sitting there. They ought to be out working. I got to work to pay their taxes. They ought to have to work too. But the work release program, when they're at work, that company has workers' comp on them, right? So, basically, to do that, the county would have to take out some type of policy, some type of insurance policy, or something to cover them. And I don't know what kind of expenses that would be, but again, you got to weigh the cost versus the benefits.
Yeah. Well, I've looked into that.
Right.
And we can't with them being incarcerated.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you, when I first came in 2019, I started up a work release like that, where I took 8 inmates and we went out to county roads and we picked up county roads. And it got to the point people were called. They knew it. They seen it.
They're calling you to bring them out here, right?
Well, I was fine with that. Say, hey, give us an address that you think. And what I did is I sent the work release coordinator out there to look at that area. And if it needed cleaned up, they went out there and they cleaned it up. But I didn't like them working on the main highways, like 49, 34, because of the traffic.
Right.
But if it was in the
Dirt road.
outside, yeah, if it was on the dirt road, we went out and cleaned them up. But then COVID hit.
Then COVID.
And then it stopped.
Well, there's so many things. That's just like there's so many senior citizens that there's people who need help all over the county, and some of these guys are carpenters, some of these guys are roofers. There's so many things that we could do, but we've got to we've got to actually offer some things, and we need some people. And this is what I'm talking about: ministers and different people. If we would get together and work with you, and then really push this stuff to our senators, I think that we can get some laws passed to help us to give our people who are incarcerated the chance to have a life.
Yeah.
And that's what, to me, that's the problem with our incarceration.
Yeah.
We're not giving them hope. Everybody needs hope.
Right.
And we know that our hope is in Christ. Praise God. That's why I'm alive today. But until you know that, you got to go through the school of hard knocks. And a lot of these people, that's the problem. But at the same time, that's like the Bible says, give a glass of water to the enemy. We've got to go a further step. And I like to see Arkansas. I like to see all the other states come down here and look at this model and say, that's what we want for our city. That's what we want for our state. And that's what I think you're trying to do. You're trying to be a model for our state and a model for our nation.
Well,
You're not the sheriff who changed him to the fence.
Right. Yeah. You know, since you brought that up, I mean, I'll tell you is that since we started this, I have had other sheriffs throughout the state of Arkansas, and I've had sheriffs and the jail administrators from different states, 5 different states, have heard about this, and they have come to visit us. They want to know what we're doing, you know, here in Greene County that works. You know, and I think the people of Greene County, they should know that they're being talked about from other states about how things are working.
And that's what this election is about, folks. What's going to work for our county, and we have a man in position that is working for a goal that's already started something different than any other county. They're debt free. They're paying their way. So it's like, how could you not want to support somebody that is doing something for us? They're not, you know, and I'm gonna say this, and y'all gonna get mad at me probably for saying, too many of our people are running for their own purpose. I'm glad to have a sheriff that's running for the people, and I think you're in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So we talked a little bit about, you know, you came in, we had to deal with COVID, had to deal with a budget that was in the red, turn that around, get some raises. And let me say this, folks, from a law enforcement perspective, you know, if you don't want to pay deputies or police officers good money, you'll still get some deputy or police officer. You'll get some Barney Fife that wants to carry a gun and badge. That's what you'll get. If you want the good ones, you better pay for it, because I'll promise you the state police, the highway police, the FBI, they're willing to pay to get good quality people. And the question you got to ask yourself is, who do you want coming to your house on the day you need a police officer, on the day you need a deputy? It matters. It matters. Getting them pay raises helps them get good quality people and keep good quality people. You remember how many times we trained them and then somebody else steal them away, right? That's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
The sheriff's office are notorious for having to pay to get somebody through the academy, get him trained, and then if he turns out to be a good deputy, somebody steals him, bothers him. I mean, he's going to take care of his family.
Right.
You know, he's going to take that better paying job, you know. And so that's important, that you can give them a good pay raise to keep them. So, but anyway, we talked about what you came into. We talked a little bit about the future thing. I see the program, the work release program, seems to be very effective, and I like that idea because it gives them something where they have a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment, and they want something they don't want to lose. You got to have something worth losing. They want to hang on to it. Any other program that you looked at, or maybe you've examined, maybe some you looked at and said, no, that won't work. What do you want to share with us?
Well, you know, like he was talking about a trade. You know, we have spoken with Black River on different occasions, and Black River's all on board. You know, we're wanting to start this trade thing, and Black River told me, and I thought, well, it's going to be about money, because you have, it's a college, you have to take that or a trade school.
Somebody's got to pay the bill,
Yeah,
right?
well, Black River said that, like you brought up welding, there's grants out there for the inmates to start this program. Now, what I have to do now is, you know, like I said, we're wanting to build on, we're going to build on for the work release, but, you know, I want the offices back there, I want the training rooms back there. Black River's coming, you know. And I hate to say I've got to get reelected to do that, but that's my long-term goal. And, you know, I want to stay as your Greene County Sheriff to continue the progress and to improve the, what do you want to call it? The repeat. I don't want the repeats to come in. I want to give them something to work toward where they can go back out into the public and start fresh. And that's my goal.
So let me ask you this, you know, different times, you know, you see, I remember the time price of metal was high. And man, the deputies were getting run to death because these people going out in the county stealing metal from the farms or from wherever they could get it, you know. We even had one guy was killed pulling down an electrical
Yes.
line, remember that?
Yes, the shot.
Right, shot committee, right. So, I mean, how's the crime, how's it out in the county, cause it seems, from what I'm hearing, maybe because I've retired, it seems like things are have quieted down a little bit. Are you getting just better patrol, or are things getting better, or are you just, we're just not hearing about it?
Well, no, I mean, it's actually, you know, as well as I do.
It comes and goes?
It comes, yeah, you have your high
Right.
times and you have your low times. But, you know, another thing I'm trying to do with this money, is every year I'm getting new deputies, I'm getting new spots, and we're getting more patrols out in the county. Still not enough, I mean,
Right.
I'll be honest with you, you know,
I feel kind of privileged then. I got
Has
to
our
meet
video
one of them the
stopped?
other night because some cows got out and they come and wrestled the cows in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah, that was one thing whenever I was a deputy, he was always having to get at somebody's cows.
Yeah.
I was over in Ensor County, so that cattle were more prevalent over there than they are here. It was a constant deal
I
with
wanted to
cattle.
have a cattle.
All right,
book.
I know that constables work with y'all, and we have cut that number down. Has that hurt us? Do we really need more constables, or do you have the power to make deputies that are part-time, or?
Yeah, do you have reserves or any of that?
we have reserves.
Right.
Part-time, of course, you know, that goes with the budget. I have one part-time position for a deputy, and it's filled. The constables, they were, see, at one time we had 24, 26, and it was cut down to six, I believe, now. You know, what they do, you know, like we have I'm gonna say Marmaduke, because that's where I'm from, but, you know, if we have a bad wreck or something at Marmaduke, them guys already live up there. You know, you got one at Lake and one at Marmaduke. They could be on that scene before us, you know, come and compare with, and then they can fill us in and say, hey, you know, yeah, we have, it's really bad, we need an ambulance, we need a helicopter, whatever we need, they're already there. So yes, they're a big help. You know, it's something I'd like to do, if, you know, there again, if I'm reelected, here. I would like to see more training together now. You know, we don't have that, to be honest with you. I'd like to see the constables and, you know, like if we have a SWAT training, or even if they wanna come up for an in-house training, they're more than welcome to do that at any time. I don't know if we need more, that's, you know, that's not my call, on how many constables we're allowed to have.
Do you know why they went down from 20-something to 6?
No, I do not.
Don't have that idea. Now, constables don't actually get a salary, do they?
$100 a month.
$100 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100 a month, you know, 1,200 a year. But you know as well as I do, gas prices.
My
Yeah,
goodness,
they
It don't take long.
no.
It does not
So
take long.
basically, these people are serving for free
Yeah.
because they love our country and nation and everything. That's why I think, I don't understand why we don't have, because there's areas that are in our county, there's nobody there.
Right.
There's nobody there. And we need some kind, and you know, that's just like this, they're talking about, and we're blessed here in Paragould, Greene County, that most of our schools have officers, and somebody's there, and we know with the world that we're living in, that is a necessary item that we need. But you just remember, when you start doing this, you gotta have salaries, you gotta have money, you gotta have all the support. To me, I'd like to see some of these retired Marines and people that have training on their side made into, you know, let them get involved with our community, and this is one way to do that.
Yeah.
Are the schools looking at adding more resource officers? Have you heard anything on that, or are they pretty much where they're gonna be at?
No, we've talked. There again, it's a money thing, because, you know, the way, I don't know how Paragould works there, SRO, but the way ours, we have 3, and 2 of them are fully paid by the school, by Greene County Tech, and then one of them, they pay only when school's in, and then he comes back out and works the street, and then the county has to pay the remainder. So, you know, I don't, for the the schools, it's another money issue.
Do you ever get a call from the directioner officer on 412 from school in the traffic?
Oh, they're out there directing
Yeah,
traffic.
after directing traffic. I tell you what, that's the most, it is a very important job, but probably the less took for granted than anything. People get mad, and I've seen them. I mean, out there, you know, and what I've learned to do, if I'm going that way from school, I'm going to bypass. I'm going to go around. So the bypass has turned real good for us. We've learned. But let me say this, and if you're in a restaurant and you see a deputy or if you see a police officer, buy their meal, show some appreciation to them. I've done it in the past, haven't been doing it later, but you know, I'm gonna have to fix some barbecue for those guys out there and bring it out there. There's things that everybody can do something, and with, you know, they're playing down our patrolmen and policemen in so many cities. I want to applaud our officers, and we got some wonderful men and women working.
And I'll tell you, Greene County is a good place to work. I can tell you that. They really, most folks here do appreciate their law enforcement.
They do.
And it makes you feel good knowing that. It really does. But guys, keep encouraging them. I agree with Brother King on that. Hey, we were talking about schools, which kind of, I don't know how much time we got left. Let's just hit on juveniles. We were talking in the break. I said, you know, I got in trouble when I was a kid. And they wanted to call my dad. I'm like, please, just take me to jail. Don't call my dad. And you know, in sometimes that's what it takes, right? The mom and dad need to just get hold of. But there's others that, you know, and I know there's a juvenile system and everything. You can talk about that just a little bit.
Juvenile system is honestly a touchy situation. You know, I'm gonna bring it up. You know, when I got elected in 2019, I looked in to getting a juvenile facility here in Greene County. I looked into it, but you know, I can tell you that it would cost people in Greene County millions of dollars to get it going.
So some of the requirements that you can't be in the same facility as a regular jail. Has to be a completely different facility.
That's correct.
Can't use the same employees going back and forth. It's got to be a completely different group. There's got to be schooling. There's got to be some educational requirements. There's just a whole, and I'm just saying this because I know Mississippi County shut theirs down. Batesville has shut theirs down. They were already up and running. And you got to wonder why. Why are they shutting them down?
I can tell you.
It's expensive, isn't it?
It's financial. Now I'm not going to say we don't need one. We do need one.
Right.
But to get one started, I mean, you're talking $5 million plus just to get it started.
Right. So and I know we dealt with you know, the juvenile officers. There's a whole juvenile law is completely different than adult law. You know, when they're, you know, sometimes when they're a certain age, they might try them as an adult for certain crimes like murder or something. But usually juveniles are completely different. They have a different court system. They've got juvenile intake officers, and so how many? I mean, the majority when I was working, you didn't really put the majority of them in jail. Only the worst offenders really went to jail, didn't it?
That's correct.
They tried to get some other kind of program to encourage them to.
You know, we have juvenile officers here in Greene County, and I'm gonna tell you, I applaud them for what they do and what they have to put up with.
Yeah, they're hands are tied on a lot of stuff.
They are. You know, they have guidelines they have to go by. But you know, to house a juvenile in another county, yes, it's expensive. It really is. But I wish, on my part as being sheriff, I wish I could help them out more by building. If we could build a juvenile jail, I would try, but it's going to cost a ton of money to do it. Yeah. You know, and I'm behind them 100%. If they need anything, I'm there for them. Yeah.
It's a got away the need versus the cost, and just like we talked about with the chain gang, there's a desire to use that, but does it justify what the the liabilities are.
Yeah, well, you know, when I told you that I renovated the old jail to do the work release, when I first came into office, I was wanting to renovate the old jail for a juvenile jail.
Right.
That was my plan, but I couldn't because it's in the jail.
Right, and once you do the crunching of the numbers and see if it's just financially feasible, that makes, sometimes what you wanna do is just out of reach. Yeah. Right.
All right, we're coming to the countdown here. We're gonna ask you to just look into the camera and ask the people to vote for you and remind them when voting starts and the voting day, and why should they elect Steve Franks?
Really?
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 I've got that red in front of that place.
Did you get your signs again?
Boy. Well, you know, the early voting starts June the 14th, and it goes until June the 20th at the fairgrounds here in Paragould. On June the 21st, all the polls will open in the county like it was in the primary. So it'll be all over you can go to your Marmaduke, there's eight polling stations open, so you can go there on June the 21st. You know, I'm asking for everybody to come out and vote again. I know it's hard, you know, due to vacations and stuff like that. People's got plans, but we really, really, really need the people to come out and vote in June the 21st. You know, I'm asking for your vote in the county, in the city. You know, what I'd like to do is continue the progress that I've already started into the future. And you know, I have other plans coming up, but I have to be reelected to do it.
All right, y'all heard it here on Watchmen on the Wall, Paragould. Thank you for watching. Now, one more thing. You might be watching right now. This is important. A lot of people watch, but they don't make a comment. It makes a difference. All you have to say, I like it. You can say, I don't like it. Or you can say, hello, but say something and share it. And I want to thank y'all for this last month. We have had 5,464 people watch our show.
Praise the
So
Lord.
we are
Get the
gaining
word out.
ground. And hey, you can make it more if you will just come on and share this program, and it will be good for our candidate, it'll be good for our program, and we just thank you for helping us grow. And by the way, we got people in Ukraine, Australia, Africa, Florida, Missouri, Israel, that watch us every week, or watch during the week, because it's always available. And we also have it on YouTube, so it's always there historically. You can go back and look. So we thank you for helping us grow, and we're looking forward to more. And thank y'all for watching today. We didn't have any questions. We had some comments. One said that they weren't hearing, and we put that to test, and I think it was corrected. So everybody, we wish you a wonderful day in the Lord. It's beautiful. Get out and enjoy it.
Well, rain gets here right now.
And yep, the storms are raging again, aren't they? And folks, let's pray for one another. Let's love one another, and let's unify our community. And on June the 21st, we'll be electing a sheriff, and we are re-electing a sheriff. Hey, praise God, we're going to have an election, all right?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are, and I'm going to be a part of that. So, thank you again for watching, and we'll return next week, same place, same bat time, 10 o'clock, right here.
All right.
And maybe our watchman will bring his chauffeur back. We missed it today. He didn't bring it in to play it, but that's how we like to open up our program. And we're growing, we're learning, and we hope to do a better job. So until next time, this is Watchmen on the Wall, Paragould, saying goodbye and so long. We'll catch you later. Stay tuned for Hebrew Hillbilly.
Hebrew Hillbilly. Yeehaw.
Yahoo!